Hey everyone, I'd like to welcome y'all again to the Southern Dogmen podcast. We've took a couple months off. It's been summertime. People's had ball games going on, spending summertime with their families, their kids, and everything like that. But hey, hunting season's starting to come back around. Competition season's starting to get fired back up. And tonight, I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Tyler Thompson. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing good, buddy. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm ready for some cooler mornings. I'm ready to start getting these dogs cut loose. I'm ready for this heat to just go on. It's been miserable the last 2 or 3 weeks up here. I ain't gonna lie.
That's about like us. We're ready for fall temperatures and these leaves to start turning.
You dang right, buddy. Well, talking about fall time and everything. Tell us a little bit about yourself, buddy. Where you from and everything?
Well, said my name's Tyler Thompson. I'm from Northeast Tennessee. I'm right here between what people may know of Johnson City, Tennessee, Kingsport, Rogersville area. I'm a father of three children. Got a beautiful wife that supports me in the hunting world. Buddy, if it wasn't for her, I don't know what I'd be able to do with all this. I'm a nuclear operator. I've been in the nuclear field for just a little while, and I'm just thankful and blessed to do whatever I'm able to do as far as having a good healthy family and being able to cut these dogs loose. That's my main passion is my family, God, and these dogs, buddy.
Amen to that, brother. That's what it all boils down to, right there, man. Uh, so t-
Absolutely, and but yeah, we're excited. I was telling my wife actually earlier today for you called that. I was just ready. I said I didn't care if it didn't get hot the rest of the whole year. I was just wishing it was just turn cold and stay cold. That way we can keep these dogs in the woods.
Man, like I said, this summer it's been. I haven't cut a dog loose since the last lolly hunt, and I believe that was in May. I've had mine set up in the kennels, sitting in front of fans. They just been getting fat, but you on the other hand, heck, it seems like you're keeping one in the woods as much as you can at the moment.
Yeah, we've been fortunate enough since probably late April. We've had him in the woods at least 2-3 times a week since every week from then to now.
Okay. Well, before we get kind of started in about the squirrel hunting and your dog and stuff, you come from a coon hunting background. You used to be big into the coon dogs and the coon hunting competition, correct?
Yes, sir. Now I maybe not run as big circuit as a lot of these guys have, but yeah, yes, sir. I grew up in a coon hunting family. I've coon hunted really basically all my life. My first dog I ever had, I was 8 years old, and buddy, I've had a dog ever since then, and I'm 30. And I know it's uh, there's really not no bloodline particular that I particularly like, but if more my go-to if I could find one's the Lipper breeding, and that kind of slowly goes back to what I'm starting what I've got now here at the house, and but yeah, it's the coon hunting side. It was my life, my passion, but it just come to find out, it's just hard to have a work life balance and family and a farm and hunt a dog right the way it needs to be. And I've always said that if you got a dog and you can't hunt it right, there's no need of having it.
Now, you saying you started about 8 years old. Was you doing any kind of squirrel dogging, or was it just mainly the coon hounds back in?
Yeah, it was mainly just the beagles and the coon hounds. The beagle one's what actually introduced me into the whole hunting dog world. Period. Is my granddaddy. He got to the point where he was just getting so old he wasn't able to chase them hounds to the hills and stuff like he used to, and he always ran those beagles, and that's where my first love for hound hunting was running them old rabbit dogs.
Okay. And did you ever try to possibly get your own pack, or was it just something you and your grandpa did together? Or
Well, my granddaddy he always ran these field trials and stuff, and I had a little dog. Uh, Believe it or not, he was actually my first one I ever had. I'll never forget his name. Is Rivers Run, my little buddy. Um, he was a tricolored little beagle. I think he was 13 inches, but buddy, I won. I couldn't tell you how many field trials I won with that dog. I've got a room full of field trial trophies with him.
Really? Now, how does them Beagle field trials work? We ain't really had nobody on here talk about those. You kind of remember how they'd go on
But
or anything?
Lord, man, I couldn't even tell you. It's been so long since I've done one of those. My cousin now he's still really big into the field trials and stuff. He was last year's Tennessee state champion in UKC last year. But yeah, he still keeps them hot and heavy. But to me, uh, once I got introduced to a tree dog, buddy, it just man, you couldn't give me a beagle. Nothing against them. Everybody has their own hobbies and the sport that they love. But when a man gets hooked on a tree dog, it's just hard to turn away from it.
Well, you might have to get your cousin to come on here and sit down and talk to us just a little bit about some Beagles.
Absolutely.
So, well, about what time was it when you got introduced to your first coonhound there, buddy? You went from the Beagles and you jumped over to the coonhounds. You remember first time that happened or how it got
Yeah,
started?
I was. I'll never forget. It was actually the weekend after Thanksgiving. My cousin that also runs beagles. He coon hunted for a long time, and I was just aggravated him to death about whenever he went again. Take me, and whenever I got a little bit bigger where I could tag along with him, he called my mama and he said, "Hey," he said, "I'm going hunting tonight." He said, I'll see if Tyler wants to go. And but hey, by the time they hung up the phone, I done had my stuff on. I was ready to go.
You was one of them youngins running out the door waiting on the truck, wasn't you?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And man, and that was the first time that I've ever been in the woods with a tree dog. And buddy, I've not looked back with it since. It's a love that I'll probably never grow away from.
Now, I know we've been buddies here for a couple months now, and at one time you was running a lot of the circuits with your coon dogs, wasn't you?
Yeah, there for a little while I was hunting for a good buddy of mine, Randy Sizemore and Chris Bowen up down there in the lower part of Kentucky, southeast Kentucky, and them boys they've got a good breeding program down there up there, and probably one of the nicest dogs that I ever was able to follow was off of their knockout dog, and their sister Melvin's mommy. She is a full litter mate to Gray's Drac and Willie.
Oh, okay. Now is that the dog that you was running for him?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I have. I kept him here at the house for a pretty good while, and it didn't take us very long to get on the same page with each other, and we actually started winning off pretty quick, and then eventually I just sent him back to Randy. I just had so much going on here around home, and that's whenever I first started college, back up to college and working 12-hour shifts, and it was just like I said, reverting to earlier, if you got a dog that you want to compete on a higher level with, and you can't hunt them the way that they need to be hunted, buddy, you're just better off somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Now, how was the coon hunting around you? We've had some people on here. We've taught some coon hunting, and it's seems like over the U.S. it's kind of spotty. You go up toward Illinois and all that. It's thick coon. You kind of get over to Arkansas, still a little thicker. Mississippi, a little thick. And it seems like when you start getting over to the Tennessee, Virginia, Georgia area, it seems real spotty. Like some areas will be real thick with coons, but sometimes
Yeah.
you might tree one or two a night. How was it up there in your area?
Buddy, here in my part of the country, coons they're just not real. They're not real plentiful. We don't and we don't really have the crop and agriculture that a lot of places do. We've got hills and mountains and big deep hollers, and if you don't have a dog that's acclimated to this kind of terrain, you're gonna have a dog that really struggles. You're going to have a dog in this part of the country that's going to have a motor underneath them and get out from underneath your feet and go find one versus going up north or a little more out west where you've got more cropland and river bottoms and stuff like that. And that's one thing I've always kind of figured out is a lot of dogs in this part of the country are really kind of tough to beat anywhere else. I guess where they've got to work harder for what they've got around here, and you take them somewhere where there's a lot of a lot of game seed and a lot of agriculture, buddy. They usually put on a clinic about everywhere they go.
Mm-hmm. Put on a good show. They ain't having to go as far.
They ain't having to go as far. Absolutely.
Now, how long did you do the coon hunting? I know uh, sounds like you kind of started at a young age, just kind of going for fun. Then you kind of dabble in the competition seasons.
Yeah,
How long did you do that for?
I say, well, I started out when I was 8, and I started doing a little competition hunting, probably in probably about my mid-teens, about 15s, whenever I first started, and I guess my last competition coon hunting I was in's probably been I say almost 3 years ago.
Okay, okay. Well, here's the big question everybody asks. Do you think a lot of these top name guys that are coon hunting are kind of transitioning over into the squirrel dogs nowadays?
But it sure seems that way. I mean, you've got you've got like people like Greg Maynard. He was always in squirrel dogs, and he's in the coon dogs. Jeff Island. He dabbles in the coon hunting world. Lee Varner. He's about an hour and a half south of me. Lee is a big time winner. Everybody knows Lee Varner. And he's dabbled in the squirrel dogs now. I mean, it seems like a lot of guys in the coon hunting games kind of venturing over into the squirrel dog world.
It sounds like from the rumblings, it's not only the southern part of the United States that's kind of losing the land to be able to run these dogs on, but it sounds like some of the northern states are starting to do it as well, and it seems like those guys are starting to transition over into these squirrel dogs.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, squirrel hunting, man, it is a pile of fun. I always enjoyed coon hunting, but man, the first time that I got introduced to squirrel hunting and to a good dog, man, I was hooked. I was like, man, why in the world did I have a coon dog when you got something like this right here?
Now, is squirrel hunting, is that, well, squirrel hunting with dogs, is that something you've done as a kid as well, or is it something you've just kind of recently gotten into? I mean, how did it come about?
But I just recently picked it up back in December. I had one of my good buddies up in Kentucky, Lance Isaacs. He's got the Evil Knievel dog. He's the very first one that introduced me to me. I talked to Lance, off and on for the past several years, and he's always invited me to come up and go squirrel hunting with him, and I was like, man, I'm not really interested in it. I'm still coon hunting, and I just didn't think I'd have time for both of them, and then I didn't have a coon dog at the time, and back in December. Lance invited me to come up. He said, why don't you come up and go hunting with me? I said, you know what, man? I said, I believe I'll take you up on that. So I drove 2 hours north of me and met Lance, and we went hunting, and he cut that old dog loose, man, and just that dog, just the way he operated just like what I would like in a coon dog, to move around and get treed quick. And go in there and have a squirrel, and you could see where you was going, and just that big hound mouth and the tree and cur. I was like, and I just looked at him. I said, man, I have got to have something like that right there. I mean, just lit a fire underneath me.
Instantly hooked. That's kind of about what happened to me.
Now, any man that likes any type of a tree dog would definitely like this sport for sure. I've met some good men all across this country and coon hunting as well, and come to find out, there's just as many, if not more, good fellers out here in the squirrel dog world as there is in the coon hunting world.
I haven't met one bad person that enjoys these tree dogs yet, and I've been.
I can say the same.
I've been in this going on, I think 4 years now, buddy, and I ain't met one bad person. I'm always meeting new people, man, and it seems like these fellas they're becoming better friends than the friends I've had back in the day, because they just called, check on, hey, how you doing? How's your dog doing?
Absolutely. And that's like one of my very good friends. I usually talk to him about on a weekly basis now. There's everybody's been getting a podcast of him now, and that's Mr. John Saunders.
Mm-hmm.
John is just just a man, so knowledgeable. I mean, an upstanding guy, and knows what it takes to make a good dog.
Now, let's kind of hop over to the dog that you're running. You know, you've got into this. I mean, did you start off with any young dogs, or did you jump head over heels and say, "Hey, if I'm going to do this, I'm gonna go get me a nice one." You know, how'd you kind
Well,
of approach it, and what'd you do?
I started off with a young dog off of Lance Isaac's Evil Knievel dog, and I'm trying to think of the mama is off of a dog that Nikki Hale used to own. She was a bone collector, female. And when the story on that little pup there, he was just a late starter. Never really did get a chance. The older gentleman had him, and I ended up buying him off of that older fella, and started fooling with him. And man, it didn't take him long. He was just natural, and I ended up sending him up to Doug Blackwell up in Owenston, Kentucky, and Doug got him going really good, and Doug liked him, and he bought him, and eventually I ended up getting him back from Doug and hunting him for a little while. And then there was a guy who wanted him more than I did up in Ohio, and I sold him to a guy up in Ohio.
Okay. Well, what you running now?
Well, I guess what most people know now. I bought Deep River Honky Tonk off of Travis Brewer back in April.
All right. Tell us a little bit about Honky Tonk.
Honky Tonk, he's a man, just a ball of fun, man. I've never had a more of a personable dog than Tonk himself. Tonk is a red and white, big, bulky, blocky type of dog. And everybody that looks at him think he's just a stub-tailed English dog, but they ain't an ounce of English in him. I believe, I'm going to say back in this early spring, they had Tonk up at the USDC Junior World, and Travis Klein handled him up there, and I think they finished in the top. I want to say in the top three semifinals, the top three in the USDC Junior World with him.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know he's a good-looking dog, and that Joker's got a mouth, man. When you every video you send me, boy, he sure does sound good.
But that's one. If a man can't hear that Joker come treating there, buddy, he needs to go to the doctor.
Better put some hearing aids on if you can't hear him.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy, buddy. Me and Doug hunted him one day, man. He was in there, but I couldn't tell you how far he was. I mean, you can just hear him plain as day come treating there. I mean, it's just unreal. I mean, and see that aspect, brings me back to the coonhound world, where I've still got the mouth and the hound of what I want, but at the same time they're treeing the game that I want them to tree too.
Mm-hmm. Now, he's a younger dog, isn't he? I mean, he's not even two years old yet, right?
No, sir. Yeah, he turned 2 back in late May.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's still got plenty of time, man. You just getting him started.
Just getting him good and started. He never had never really had the chance of being pushed around anywhere, and that he's the only dog he's our main goal.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's kind of the hunting like up there? I mean, you said it's kind of rolling hills and stuff. Is your squirrel game kind of thick?
Well, man, I think it's just about like coon hunting. A lot of times you just hit little pockets up, and sometimes you can tree them at 50 yards, or sometimes you have to go half a mile to get one treed. It just all really depends on where you're hunting at. That's like the aspect of now. I've had people tell me, "Well, man, you're crazy for sending your dog up north or whatnot, and somebody else owned him." Which it's like with Doug. Whenever I went up with Doug hunting back in May, I had no intention on selling him, and he said, "Man," I just couldn't stand that dog leave here. He said, "I wanted to be part of him." So for the most part, around here, it just really depends on where you're going to. Everybody knows up in Oakland, Kentucky, but that's squirrel heaven up there.
That's the place to be, is what everybody tells me. They say that's some of the thickest squirrel woods you're gonna find.
Man, I mean, it's nothing to get, tree 5 squirrels in 20 minutes up there, no problem.
I wish it was like that down here at the house, boy. I like I like my competition hunting, man, but I like to keep a gun barrel warm too.
I do too, and what the thing is, just the way that Tonk's bred, and just the way the tree dog that he is. He's the type of dog you don't have to give him every squirrel that he trees or every other squirrel. I mean, he's just got that. He just got an edge about him that he just wants to please you, and he knows, as long as he knows what you're wanting, and he's capable of doing it. Which I'm not the type to brag on no dog. I mean, a dog's a dog. But at the end of the day, we wouldn't have one if they didn't do what we like them to do.
So, what's some of the, I guess, what's the characteristics that make him so much different from some of these other dogs that you've been in the woods with? What is it that makes him your type of dog? Is it his drive, his mouth? I mean, is it basically he's almost like a hound?
He's almost like he's like a hound with a curved brain. Man, this super smart. And sometimes me and Doug, we say he's about too smart for his own good. Sometimes he just like any other dog, he'll try you at times and just try your patience at times, man. But he's just got the brains and a heck of a tree dog. Just very stylish when it comes to him being on the wood. Got a good mouth, good carrying mouth. He's not the type of dog that he's not going to blow in there half a mile when you've got 5 squirrels at 200 yards from you. He's going to tree them as he comes to them.
Well, that's what a lot of these guys like. It seems like some of these guys that are hunting the hound crosses, sometimes they'll run past the squirrel to go find the one that they want. Is what I've been told.
Yeah, that's not me personally. I don't like it. We're out here hunting squirrels. We're not out here seeing whose dog goes the furthest. And I know. I mean, there's times where if nothing ain't moving, you got to have a dog that get out there 900 to half a mile to get treed. Well, yeah, I mean he's got that in his tank, but his forte is if they're down, he's going to tree them.
Mm-hmm. And it's just too hot to be walking that far right now, ain't it?
Buddy, you didn't tell me. I'm a pretty good sized youngin, and yeah, I don't really want to walk that far unless I have to.
Mm-hmm. Now, with it being summertime and so hot, I know we've talked, man, and y'all are keeping this dog in the woods. Is there anything y'all are doing to keep him? I guess keep him ready to go, or is it just something that he can take the heat well?
He can take the heat okay. We're just not overexerting him. I mean, after you hunt a dog for a while, you kind of figure out what your dog can and can't take. And there's a lot of times I would rather hunt a dog 3 drops. That way, just get 2, 3 good drops out of him and just put him up. You don't want to overexert one this time of year.
Mm-hmm. Are y'all doing anything for the tick prevention or anything like that to try to?
Yeah. We've been keeping him on the Simpirica Trio, and that I'm a real advocate on keeping him up to date on all that stuff. Ticks has been ridiculous this year.
And see, that's been one of my biggest fears since I've got into this is trying to keep one in the woods during summertime. I'm honestly more worried about the ticks and the diseases that they carry than say a snake bite, and it's not only for the dog, but it's for me myself.
Oh yeah, that's me. But hey, I'm twice as scared of a tick right now as I am a snake. Well, up in this part of the country, down in your part of the country too, they've got rattlesnakes, copperheads, all that stuff, But I try to stay out of all the foothills and stuff this time of year for that reason. That's why I usually try to go to these big farmlands and stuff like that to just kind of get out of the snakes.
Mm-hmm. Well, that seems like what we kind of battle down here during the summertime. It's a lot of people's worried about the snakes, but man, it's more the ticks than me. I see a tick, man. Oof. I don't even like looking at them, man.
Absolutely, that's crazy too. That's like Tonk. Tonk. I just feel like just the way that he operates and stuff. I just feel like that he'll give us a chance to win. You can't win sitting at home eating eating tater chips, sitting on the couch watching TV. So we if we're not hunting him right now, we're keeping him on the treadmill, running him on a side by side. So just trying to keep him in shape. That's the main important key. You got a lot of guys right now that's not even hunting, and it is hot, but at the same time, I'm coming fresh into this, and just trying to make a name for myself. And the way I figure it is, if I got to work twice as hard as everybody else to get my name and Thompson's name out there, so we won't stay on the grind until game time rolls around. We're going to still keep doing what we're doing.
Well, I mean that's something good there, man. I always like seeing new guys come into this sport, especially the younger guys. I feel like there's not a lot of the young guys that's really in it. Anytime I'm at a hunt, it's usually older gentlemen. They're 50s,
right.
They're 60s. I'm not seeing a lot of young guys in it.
Right. Absolutely, and that's why I think the word of my partner. Doug Blackwell. He's trained some high dollar dogs this part and all over the country, man. They've done some winning. That's like his son Bub. That they've kept some good hounds, and everybody that I've ever talked to that knows my partner Doug Blackwell, they say, man, Doug's good, man. You couldn't said I couldn't have handpicked any better partner than Doug. And everybody that talks about him said that first time they ever hunted with Doug, he had a dog named High Speed Jack, and that's what whenever I come up and I opened the dog box up for the first time up there to go hunting with Doug, he opened the dog box up. He's kind of looked him over. He said, "Man, he reminds me of my old dog Jack." He said, "Just his conformation, his color, his red and white, had a big mouth, and." This seems like I had no intentions on selling him, man. We're just out there, just two buddies out there enjoying each other's company. And he's like, man, why don't you just sell me half that dog? I was like, man, I didn't really come up here to go to sell him. I said, we'll just go hunting for a while. And it could come to find out, he wanted him more than what I figured he would. I could sit there and see his gears turning in his head. And he's like, man, he said, we can really do something with this dog. He said, sell me half this dog. So I said, well, so after we, let me think about it. And, I never really partnered up with nobody before. And I'll get back with you. But, by the time, we get back to the truck, and we was talking about it on the way to the truck, and we struck up a deal, and the rest is history. I mean, man, we've always said we're going to always keep our friendship first and our partnership second. Mm-hmm. And it's worked that way. We have the same goals and intentions for the dog, and I feel like that's where a lot of guys their partnership falls through the cracks. You got one that's more greedier than the other, and me and him both, we're just out here for the dog. We're not out here for ourselves.
And I feel like that's one of the biggest parts about it. I've myself have been kind of nervous to go in on havers with any of the dogs that I've owned, which I ain't. I've had a bunch of junk, be quite honest, but
we have more bad ones than we do good. And
that's the truth. It don't matter what kind of dog it is. I feel like.
I just stumbled up on this, and this dog right here eventually goes back to Lance Isaacs as well. I had that pup, and I sold that pup, and he said, Tyler, he said, buddy, he said, if you know what you got to do in order for you to get a good. I said, yeah. He said, you got to come off some molded money. And I said, well, it looks like that's what I'm gonna have to do. And whenever I seen Tonk online, Travis posted him on there a couple of weeks before the Junior World, and I was like, I thought, man, I told Lance, I said, man, that's the most beautiful dog I've ever laid my eyes on. And he said, man, Travis is, I didn't know nothing about Brewer at the time. And he said, man, his line of dogs is exactly what you want. And I stewed on it, and I was like, well, I don't know yet. And then a couple of weeks later, I seen where he placed up at the Junior World. I was like, man, that dog right there, he'll never be bought now, And a couple of weeks went by, and I called Lance again. I said, Lance, I said, man, I said, I think I messed up on not buying that dog. He said, man, he said he may still have him because I didn't see him advertised no more. I was like, that's somebody's bought him. He said, well, here's Brewer's number. So give him a call. So I called him and I asked him and introduced myself and was talking. I said, man, I said, well, how much you want for old Thompson? You still got him? He said, yes, sir, I do. And I said, well, can he be bought? He said, yes, sir, he can. And he priced him to me, and I said, well, well, when's your next day off? And I said, well, I'm off all weekend. I said, when's a good time? He said, any time. He said, I'll be there tomorrow. I drove about 3 hours south of him, met him there in North Carolina, and brought Tonk back to the Tennessee state, buddy.
Man, it sounds like you've jumped into this head over heels. You got what you want, and it's looking like he's making everything that anybody could hope for. What kind of plans y'all have for him this year? I mean, y'all going to push him pretty hard and heavy in some hunts, and maybe take him to the breeding pen. I mean, what's y'all's plan?
I've had a couple people already message me wanting to inquiring about breeding to him, and we're breeding to him. We're not worried about breeding him right now. I mean, he's still a young dog, and just getting him ready for this coming up fall. We've got several entries for this coming up fall and this coming up spring, so we're just gonna try to run the roads with him for a while. Like I said, dogs never had the opportunity to really be hitting the hunts hard, so we're going to give him every chance that we can give him.
Yeah, I heard that, buddy. Well, you ever get tired of that old joker? He's got a home down here in Georgia.
Buddy, man, like I said, I've had several people wanting to buy him, and I just can't see myself selling him at the moment. Other than my half going to Doug, and we just got a lot of high hopes for him, and he's just a well-rounded dog, and it took me from December to almost the beginning of May to find him. So it'd take a big farm in Georgia and a couple houses to buy him right now.
Well, I ain't got none of that, buddy.
But I don't know. You just he just has so much sense. I mean, I can have him out here in the yard and just talk to him, or even out in the woods, and it's like the dog understands every word that I tell him. Mm-hmm. And that just goes back to the intelligence of the brains.
Yeah, and it seems, I've said it before on here, but I feel like these curs or the treeing curs, I feel like they got a little more head knowledge than some of these hounds. Now
they do.
I've had people tell me I'm wrong, but from what I've seen, I feel like they got a little more brain.
No, man. I've hunted hounds the majority of my life, and I'm telling you, he's the smartest dog I've ever had here at my house. And that's that goes back to like what John Saunders told me one day. He called me while I was hunting, and he said, young man, he said, I want to tell you, he said, I'm glad that we've got a younger generation out here putting into work and trying to get ready to compete on a high level. He said, I always remember, son. He said champions are made during the week and proven on the weekend, mm-hmm. and I truly believe that, and that's why, a lot of times I feel like it takes more than just one person to get a dog ready. And that's what it comes back to. I'm not out here just for myself. I'm out here for more of my dog than I am myself. And what I can't work on here at my house, Doug can work there on his place.
Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that I love about you so much, man. Is we've become good buddies here in a short amount of time. But man, you push that dog and push that dog and push that dog, and I don't see many people doing it. They may be, but they ain't talking about it. But, man, you're constantly sending me videos, sending me pictures. Y'all are going to be in the winning circle a lot this year, I believe. Y'all are putting in the work, man.
We putting in the work. I mean, we may fall short, but it ain't because we ain't put in the work. That's mm-hmm. for sure. Mm-hmm. And you got to put in the work to get there. And like I said, I've got some good houndsmen around me. There's plenty of tough competition out there. But that's when it comes back to when I was saying earlier, I'm new into this, and which my partner's not, but I'm new to this, and I told him, I said, man, we're gonna grind it out to the end. If I don't have him in the woods, he's definitely gonna keep him in there. And it's all part, this time of year too, is feeding one right, is just making sure you don't overfeed one and keep them in shape. I mean, it's just so easy to keep one burnt out right now.
Well, I've told you before, but I hope we can go do some fun hunting together. I hope I don't meet you in a competition hunt sometime this year.
But I don't know. Stag's he's got the potential to beat anything out there too. Them LBK gentlemen out there, they know what they're doing when it comes to breeding.
Yeah, well, he's been up in a lot. He's been getting babied laying in front of a fan every day. Hey, toenails getting long, boy. It's about time to break him out. Our season opens here on August 15th, and me and my brother, my brother's kind of getting into this, and he's wanting to start competition hunting. So I told him, I'm like, well, you help me get him in shape. If I can't have him somewhere, you can. We've been talking, wanting to get him out, but man, it's just been so hot, and neither one of us are really able to go in the mornings, so it's in the evenings. But
right,
it looks like we got a little bit of a cool spell coming out. We're gonna try to get him in the woods this weekend, hopefully.
Absolutely. And that's too like my work schedule. I'm not able to go hunting every day. But it's just finding the right mornings to go. A lot of times I feel like it's not how much you hunt them, and it's the way that you hunt them. And and like where I work nights and stuff, a lot of times I just come in and if it's a good cooler morning, I just load him up and go for about an hour and a half. And that's normally what I do is when I'm pleasure hunting, I'm not the solely pleasure hunting. I've got a stopwatch on my neck, and we're working on something all the time.
That's how I've turned into I'd say the last year, man. I've got kind of away from I'm just gonna go fun hunting. If I'm unleashing a dog now, we're gonna be working on something. We might be shooting a few squirrels, but hey, we're out here to work. We're out here to get better and try to fix some things also.
Absolutely, and I mean, man, and that's man's not worth much if he don't have nothing to strive for. This life gives us a bunch of opportunities, and and I'm striving just to become somebody in this squirrel dog world, and the only way to become somebody is get out here and put in the work.
Well, buddy, I'll tell you, if nobody else has, I think you're on the right track. I think you putting in a ton of work this year. Hey, I'm blessed to have met you, man. I enjoy every conversation we have. We talk these dogs, we talk the Lord. You're a blessing, and it's not just me, man, but it's a lot of people, and I think it's going to come to show this fall, buddy. I look forward to seeing you pictures posted in that winter circle.
Well, buddy, I greatly appreciate it, and that's I had a conversation there a while back. I was actually calling Joey Post and talking to him about the JPI when they come on sale, and but hey, I'm about pretty certain we're getting ready to have church on phone, and just such an outstanding guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've like I said, and like Lance Isaacs is a good dear friend of mine. Man, we was squirrel hunting one morning, and just talking to the Lord with me, man, and man, some of the best conversations I've ever had has been in the woods, talking about the Lord and listening to these dogs come trees. Man, you can't ask for any better than that.
That's what it's all about, there, brother.
So. But yeah, like I said, I'm just blessed and fortunate. I'm just a small town country boy up here trying to make a name for myself. So we'll see where I'm at here about the end of the year.
Well, we're going to get you back on here, buddy, and we're going to talk all about it, I imagine. So.
Well, we hope so for that anyway. If not, I'm out here having a good time with it anyway.
Exactly. And hey, that's the biggest part right there, buddy. So.
But yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're actually getting ready to this year. We've never really had that many squirrel clubs around here close, and I believe we're getting this coming up year. We're going to have 3 clubs within an hour of my house that's going to start holding squirrel hunts. So that's pretty exciting.
Well, I might have to send those static up there to you and let you handle them every now and then, because still looks like I'm gonna be having to drive 4 or 5 hours just to make it to a hunt this year.
Man, I'm by far a top-notch handler or anything like that, but I just enjoy these dogs, and all thing I know to do is call them what they do.
Yep. Well, buddy, I appreciate you hopping on here and talking to me for a little bit. Like I said, I imagine we're going to have you right back on here probably November, December. So,
Well, buddy, that's what we're hoping for, and I greatly appreciate you giving me the time to come on here and talk. And you're doing a fine job of what you're doing, man. I enjoy listening to these podcasts, and like I said, I've learned a lot from you and from everybody in this sport, and I'm looking to see where it takes us this year.
man, I'm greatly looking forward to it. I'm ready for fall, and I'm ready to start cutting them loose again, buddy.
And man, I can hear old Thompson coming trading them, and this fall, this man, I'm excited about it, man. It's like I said, it's just a blessing. These dogs, they're only here for a little while, but our friendship will last forever, buddy.
Exactly. For everybody out there in podcast land, y'all make sure y'all get over on Facebook, follow Tyler. He's always posting videos and stuff of his dog. I'm telling y'all, when y'all see him, he ain't for sale, but y'all gonna be wanting to buy him.
Well, maybe one of these days we can. When we decide to retire or anything like that, we may breed into a few females here and there. We're just not really the breeding type of guys. We're more hunters than we are breeders. But like I said, we've had a couple of people inquire about breeding to him, and he's just to us. Well, he's just got a lot left in the tank to be thinking about breeding.
I heard that, buddy. I heard that. Well, man, we'll jump off here. Like I said, I appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Hey, thank you for all that you do, brother.
You have a great night, Bubba.
Hey, you too, buddy.